One StreamYard. Okay, we're live. Thanks for joining us on the Wealth Wisdom Financial channel here on podcast on the YouTube. And if you're watching us on Facebook, welcome. If you're catching the replay, big welcome to you as well. I've got my very special guest, Kim Romain, joining me today. And I'm really excited to jump into the conversation. Before I get there, go ahead and hit that subscribe, like, share, whatever you're going to do there. Give Kim some love as we go through our conversation today. Okay, Kim, we got your bio down below. Amazing that you do like a sharely hosted podcast. I want to have a conversation offline about how that works. But give us the real Kim Romain. Who are you? Where do you come from? What do you think our audience really should know about you?
Oh my goodness. It is like the least favorite question for me to answer. Tell me everything about you because I never know where to start, but no, I'm happy to. So I like starting actually where somebody had, in the last couple of years, they described me as the walking human hug. So everything I do comes from that place of just love and connection and focusing on humanity. I started my life thinking I was going to be in the theater world. And I did that for a while. And I left the theater world to be a practicing attorney. So then I did that. And I left that to go into the nonprofit sector. And I was there for a very long time. And now I am a coach, I'm a strategist, and I love helping people with their mindset and love helping people get into the pragmatism and the woo a little bit to help them find what works uniquely for them as an individual. Because again, that human hug in me wants everybody to be the best them that they can be.
Yeah. I've got two pieces of feedback, and then I'll ask my follow-up question. One is the human hug. I've never met you in person. We talk very regularly in virtual land through an awesome organization called Women Belong, womenbelong.com, if anyone wants to check it out. And I can say, even virtually, you are a human hug. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I feel hugged and embraced anytime I get to interact with you.
Oh, good.
And then you do not have to answer this. This is totally a comment. But when I hear you were an attorney and then you went into the nonprofit sector, I think, oh, you were making restitution for all the work you did as an attorney.
In many ways, yes, although I was in public service law for a while too. So, but yes, very much so.
Okay. Well, so I imagine throughout your life, there's been a lot that you've tried and moved through, and you've learned a lot about like embracing who you really are, discovering who you really are. And when I think about confidence, that's often where it maybe stems from, is knowing who you are and what you want. What has that journey been like for you, especially in these different arenas that you've traveled through?
Yeah, I will say that growing up, I don't know that I knew that I had shaky confidence, but I definitely did. I looking back can definitely see in my teens and 20s, I was making decisions not based on myself. I was making decisions on everybody else. Actually, that's how I ended up in law school, was because I was seeking love. I was seeking acceptance. And through that, I did find some confidence in myself because I was like, oh, I'm actually really good at this thing. But constantly striving to do things that I think other people want me to do, like that was my MO. And when I started leaning into what it is that I really want and that awareness of myself as a independent human being, that's where the confidence really started to grow, because the only person that can let me down is me. And if I'm letting myself down, what can I do to fix that? And that kind of builds on itself in terms of the confidence, I think.
Yeah. I mean, who has not been at the place where we've made a decision based on what we wanted someone else to, believe or love about us, right?
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of people watching live, or if you're catching the replay, if you've been in that situation, give us some love, say yes in the comments. Would love to hear we're not alone in this. I don't think we are, but would love to have that little boost there. So you decide you're going to find kind of that self-acceptance. That's not easy. like what roadblocks or, internal or external did you hit as you started to pursue self-love, self-confidence, when you decided, okay, this is something I'm going to go after?
Right. Um, I don't know that yeah, first it wasn't a conscious decision.
Mhm.
It was really more of preservation, self-preservation more than anything else.
Okay.
Growing up, I had two sides of the coin. I had one parent who would constantly tell me that I was never enough. I was never enough. I was never enough. And then I had the other parent saying, you can be anything you want to be. You're more than
Mm.
enough. And you're da, da, da. And when you bounce between those two extremes, it's really hard to be able to identify yourself. I then went into my starter marriage, and that marriage was really challenging for me because it pushed up against all of the not enoughs really, really hard. I was in law school at the same time, which definitely pushed us up against the not enoughs. And coming out of the transitions of becoming a practicing attorney, going through a divorce, going through like all of that, having some fertility issues that came up for myself. Like it was all this stuff, a lot of transitions that got me to that point of saying, I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I don't really know what I want out of this life, but I feel like I've been making decisions based on everybody else. And um, I started thinking about what is it that I want? What is
Mhm.
important to me? And little by little, I started to uncover those things. And I think that was really where it started. The process has been long. It's not done. I mean, right. Like, I don't think it will ever be done. And I'm okay with that. For a while, I thought of myself as like a personal development junkie in a way. Um, but I don't think it's so much that. I think it's not just about developing myself. It's understanding myself. It's experiencing, oh yeah, this is what it is. I'm unpacking this live. It's experiencing humanity. It's experience my humanness,
Mhm.
right? And I
Mhm.
think the deeper that I get to into that place of I'm a human, I'm an autonomous human, and this is my experience and nobody else's, it gets really, really cool to start unpacking that and seeing what's in there.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh my gosh, there's so much we could go into. One of the things you said there at the end, the newest or the second season, I don't know what it is, of Bridgerton that just dropped. I
Still haven't started watching it.
Okay,
I know.
okay. I'm gonna try not to do a spoiler,
No
but
worries.
there's so much to you just can imagine these women, you know, being in this society that there's so much expected of them that they were supposed to live up to, that they lost themselves. And that season is really like an amazing story of these women figuring out I can self-define, and it's kind of a historic, we women have been doing this for, every generation, right? That we've been having that struggle of what do I want and feeling okay that I can go after what I want. So
Yeah.
maybe that moves it up on your list and your queue for Netflix or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, it's on my list. Usually when it's time that I could watch it when my husband's traveling and I'm home alone, I'm asleep.
Gotcha.
Like,
Gotcha.
so, but what's so interesting is, that I moved up to Montreal last summer, and one of the really challenging things for me was um, the province. Everybody has the last name that they were born with.
Hmm.
And so I came up here with my name. I took my husband's last name intentionally. And so Romain is my married name. Matlin is my maiden name. And that they changed my name back to Matlin without asking. And
Hmm.
there's no way for me to petition for them to change it back without a lot of hoops and hurdles.
Yeah.
And that was very challenging for me to say the least, because suddenly I felt like chattel again. I felt
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm just property and you can just make a choice
Mhm.
that I'm not empowered to make for myself. And then there's that definition of if we had had our child here, she would have had my husband's last name and not mine. And so then there's like that split. And so, yeah, that whole being empowered to make those decisions for yourself and not, pockets are a huge thing because of that, right? I want to carry
Mhm.
my own money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could go down a
Mhm.
whole lot of roads there.
Mm.
I digress for a minute though.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm loving this. So that's actually a great reminder that it's not just a one time building our self-confidence, but our confidence can get shattered by the seemingly random thing, because there's so many different power forces within this world, government, politics, economy, financial institutions, our employers, etc. So I think we need to frame this conversation, not just how do we build confidence, but also how do we rebuild confidence? Because some of those times can happen that we feel crushed and we have to kind of rebuild our own selfhood from there.
Oh my gosh, yes. I have a number of clients who have gone through divorce, and I will say that when we get to the crux of like where that they don't have confidence as a leader or as a business owner anymore, it like goes back to where things started to unravel in their marriage or something where that confidence was so shattered. They were they are these amazing human beings, but they had this amazing level of confidence and knowledge that they could show up in the world in the way they wanted to, and then that was just knocked down. And I know for me, right, it was like all of those small T, big T trauma times and
No.
the other T transition times in my life where I have to rebuild that confidence for myself. And that's why I know it's not a one and done. I'm not like, "Ooh, I built my confidence and I'm good." It's it is important that we keep tapping into it in all the different ways in our life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when we were doing the green room chat before we went live today, you shared with me that there's a part of your financial story that as we're talking, I'm imagining that was probably one of those times when your confidence took a steep downturn.
For sure.
Um, to use kind of financial language, right? Like just thinking not necessarily the stock market did a financial downturn but your confidence did. Can you tell us kind of a little bit of what was happening there and then how you rebuilt your confidence then and in other times of your life? What have you learned about how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So what we were talking about was about 5 years ago, we went into personal bankruptcy, and that was a really scary thing. It actually took us, I don't know, 2 or 3 years to make the decision to do that. And well, it's one of those things. It's like nobody ever talks about. Don't mention that. That it's like, but why? Why can't I
Mhm.
mention that?
Right.
We don't mention it because I think because it it feels like we did something wrong, right? We didn't have knowledge. We had extenuating circumstances that, right? And
Yep.
everybody does, or most people do that go through that. So it was that rebuilding from that, right? That was one of those big T, little t things where it's like, what did I do wrong? And then I had to come to the acknowledgement I didn't do anything wrong. I did the best that I could with the information that I had at the time, and I kept trying to do okay, right? And kept trying to fix it on my own and couldn't, not in a sustainable way. And so this was the outcome. There's nothing wrong with us though.
Right.
And that was where I had to get to start rebuilding the confidence,
Mm.
is to say, this is not a flaw in me, right? This is just
Right.
something I didn't have the information to have a different outcome. And that's all it is. And then I
Mm.
got to make the choice how I responded to it. And I talk a lot about choice. I think that it's interesting because choice can help us build confidence. And the more confident we are, the more we can lean into our independent choices.
Mm.
So what I chose to come out of that experience with for myself was that I wanted to redefine my relationship with money. And well, I still have a long way to go with that for myself. I'm no longer afraid of it. I now have confidence to ask for help. I now have confidence to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's almost like the lack of the realizing that you didn't have the information to move forward. It's not your fault, it's the lack of information. And to then say, okay, by admitting you don't have that information, now you can go and find that information and you can find the people that have that information for you.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about as you're talking is this idea like we're not the sum of our choices. Like, we are who we are, and sometimes we choose it's almost like the flip of a coin which way we're gonna go, and we live with the consequences of the choices we made, but they're not who we are. But then also, we can like, I'm trying to figure out how this works. So, there's also positive choices, and we wanna own them, and we wanna make them who we are, but then we also don't want the negative choices. But I think it's also like, we are who we are, and the choices we make stem from who we are, they're not who we are. How would you say that better?
So I think we are the sum of our choices. The reality though is that not all of our choices are informed choices, right?
Mm,
And not all of our choices are aligned choices. We make choices for different reasons. We make choices because what I call our or not just I, a lot of people call our inner critic and our saboteurs, those voices in our head that try and keep us safe. Um, we follow those voices. We follow the voices of a guru or somebody out in the world that we think has the answers for us.
yeah.
And it doesn't align with us.
Mhm,
Very often, when we go to that quiet place, right, to that place of silence and that place of stillness, we can hear the voice that's right for us.
mhm.
It's learning to trust that voice.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm jiving with this because I don't think you probably heard our podcast episode that dropped this morning.
I didn't, not this morning's,
Okay,
no.
I'm gonna put a link in the comments so folks can check it out if they want to. The title is Financial Decisions and How to Make Them with Too Many
Mhm.
Options. And we talk about when you have all these choices, all these different ways you could go fight with your money. How do you choose? And our like number one thing is you got to decide what you want. You got to take your time to really get clear. And and without, like, thinking of products, without thinking of different places, just qualities, what you want your money to be doing for you. Pretend you're queen of money, and then you go find the people that can help you do that thing, not vice versa. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about in terms of how we just build confidence with anything is we get quiet, we get still, we decide what we want, what we really, really want, and then we go look in the world, "Where is this? How can I create more of this in my world?"
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah, when I work so I give workshops and I work with my clients. The there's three pillars. There's awareness, there's being, and there's conscious connections. So awareness is this place of really getting deeply aware of who you are, right? And that
Mhm.
awareness comes like it's a constant work. It's not I'm aware and I'm done and I'm moving on. It's we're human beings, we're fluid, we change. The being is stepping into that place of confidence. It's stepping into that place of being in the world. And then that last one is the conscious connections, which is going and getting the help and the support that you
Mm.
need in all sorts of areas, right? So I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, you have that place of stillness, you have that place of awareness, and then you have that ability to connect with others that can support you. Yeah,
Great. Did I get that right in the little banner there?
awareness, being, and
Awareness,
conscious
be
connections.
conscious connection. Got it.
Yep.
And that's would you say, like, those are the 3 ingredients that make up confidence? You can't have
Yeah.
confidence without all 3?
Yeah, I think they're the 3 ingredients that support confidence. So
Mm,
really they're the 3 ingredients that when we want to reclaim our personal power, when we want to find some clarity in any area of our life or work, these are the things that are going to support us. And they are things that you turn to in the moment, but they are things that you need to strengthen along the way so that they're there when you need them.
yeah. Okay. I love it. Now, how do you relate this to the work that you're doing with your clients? Like, what's that unique Kim, uh, superpower that you're bringing to build confidence in the people you work with?
Yeah, it starts with clarity.
Mm,
It's really, confidence comes from having clarity, and the clarity comes from having the awareness. understanding who we are
Yeah.
as human beings and creating those conscious connections. So clarity is a huge one. We spend our lives in our brains and outside of our brains in these places of chaos because we're always either thinking of something in the future or we're thinking of something in the past. We're very rarely in the moment. So I do work somewhat with mindfulness and things like that, but really it's those three pillars that lead to clarity that's what I love to work with. And what's fun is it's not just individuals, it's also organizations and businesses that I get to work with doing that. So that's kind of fun.
Ooh, tell me more about how that works.
Um, Generally starts with a leader within the organization, and that leader it has a vision that they want to go forward with, and there's somewhere that it's breaking down, that somehow they're not able to move the organization forward in the way that they want to. Sometimes it's communication issues, sometimes it's the wrong people in the wrong roles, sometimes it's the leader not creating the culture that is going to be able to sustain forward momentum. In particular, I love working with nonprofit and small business organizations doing this, where we can actually get in and roll our sleeves up and start to look at how the leader is working with the team, how the team is working with the team. And so it's the tool I use is coaching, but there's a lot that's in there that involves looking at structures and strategies and all of that. So that's how it kind of works. But it starts with that place of clarity for the leader, for the organization, making sure everybody's aligned with the organization, as well as making sure that each of the individuals has their own individual alignment too. Because if you have somebody, so if you have a leadership team of 7 people and you have somebody who is out of alignment with themselves, like they don't have clarity on what they want, they're going to bring that into the business.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
your whole team is going to get skewed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That sounds amazing because I can definitely tell, even looking at like a company's marketing or how they try to work with clients, you can tell if they have confidence or if they don't.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I love how you can kind of dig in and see like where is that lack of confidence coming from and how do we move it toward a more confident business and all the individuals within that business or
Absolutely.
nonprofit, of
Or
course.
nonprofit. Yeah.
Yeah. um, and now this is the Wealth Wisdom financial show. So I'd love for and with your journey, what you've learned, what do you think is some of the wealth wisdom that folks need to have about creating confidence with their money?
I love that. I think it goes back to what we were talking about with the stillness. I think that have the confidence to make mistakes, have the confidence to ask for help, have the confidence to not get it right, and have the confidence to stretch yourself. And by that, I mean, if you're somebody who holds on to money, typically, maybe stretch yourself and see what it might be like to not as much because, and vice versa. If you're somebody who spends a lot of money, try saving for a while, right? Because I feel like it stretches our brains in different ways. I'm not saying create new habits, but just trying on something and getting a new perspective allows us to feel more confident in the way that we choose to show up in the world. And we don't know how to do that until we try.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. So try something new, stretch ourselves, and also have that kind of self awareness that comes from being still and
Yeah,
listening to our own thoughts and feelings, and which can be hard, which can be totally scary. That's why there's awesome tools and allies available to do that along with you or to give you the information so that you feel empowered to go after it. I don't know if you know this, Kim. We actually developed something we called the STILL method.
I do.
STILL. Yeah. And we bring people to that stillness and the questions they can reflect on and journal about or talk about with their significant other or whatever to get more clarity on what they want their money to do and then if it's actually doing that. Um, what kind of tools, resources do you have for folks that can help them learn more about what you do and see if you would be a great ally for them?
Absolutely. So, one tool that's not about me that I want to just say in terms of finding stillness and finding that place of quiet, there are The tool that I use the most often is called Insight Timer, and it's insighttimer.com. And that one, it is meditation talks, things that really help us get to that place of stillness. And if meditation's not for you, there are some great ways to just be guided in a gentle way for like 1 or 2 minutes just to find stillness. So that's a great tool to use. I work with my clients to help them identify kind of those places where we can dig a little deeper and where they can hear their internal compass. So I do hands-on work with my clients as well. One place that they can see me coming up is next Friday, April 29th. I have a workshop. It is called From Chaos to Clarity. It is my masterclass that I run twice a month. You can find that information on my website, which is kimromain.com, or on LinkedIn. There's actually a direct link. If you find me on LinkedIn, there's a direct link to the event on my LinkedIn page, which you can get to through my website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love that you talk about from chaos to clarity because we have this acronym for chaos: confusion, haphazardness, anxiety, overwhelm, stress. Even like saying those words make me feel a little angsty, right? And then to think clarity, calm, still, serenity can be really powerful to even shift our focus away from the chaos and toward where we're going, rather than always just focus on how the stress or how we feel or whatever.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I love that. I love how you work with each of the letters. It's because it's true. When we're in those places, all those words, right? And you
Yep.
throw burnout in there too, but I don't know how to
Ah.
get the B into chaos. But yeah, I mean, just saying the words makes your heart rate rise, and you're like, oh, I can't breathe. My
Mm,
chest is it's right. It's just a gross
yeah.
feeling. And then using the words of clarity and calm and stillness and openness, right? That's another one
Mm.
where we're not closing ourselves off.
Oh, I love that openness. That's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today. This has been a really fun chat. Everybody, check out the links below. Be sure to check out Kim's website, reach out to her, follow up, ask her questions. The comments are still open. You can comment, you can share the replay after we end the broadcast. Everything will come back in a few minutes after the AI does its thing. So if you're just joining us, you can go back and watch from the beginning very soon. Thank you again so much, Kim. There are lots of gems that you've dropped here today. I think I'm going to be spending a long time thinking about some of what we talked about and making sure I'm moving toward more confidence that comes from clarity
Mhm.
myself too.
Love that. Thank you so much for having me, Amanda. It was so much fun.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again sometime.
I'd love to.